Why are we wearing buckets? Will, what is this? How is this topping last time?
Because the rebels always called the Empire the Imperial Bucketheads. That's why. We're literally wearing buckets. This week on the Nerd Confessions podcast, we're talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi.
And because of that, we're wearing buckets.
And I hold a toy.
I think I bent this out of proportion.
You did.
I'll tell you right now, I can't get mine off my head. It is stuck. I've actually bent mine sideways.
Nerd Confessions. Engage.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Oh, hell, dreaming.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Tell me how many lights you see. This is a very good conversation.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd Confessions, our safe haven where we discuss our thoughts and opinions on everything nerdy, geeky, techie, and whatever. It's been a week since our last confession, but before we jump right into it, we'd like to remind all of our listeners that you can follow us on various social media platforms, find previous episodes, and view our bonus content on our website, nerdconfessions.net. I'm Tommy, and I'm here with Ellie.
Hi.
William.
Hello.
And Sohail.
What's going on?
In this episode, we'll be talking about the 5 most recent nerd news topics important to us and Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Stick around until the end of the episode so you can hear some of our listener confessions. And if you want to send us a confession, you can always email us at contact@nerdconfessions.net or send us a tweet. Remember, the first half of this episode will be spoiler-free, and as soon as we get to the spoiler territory, you'll see a spoiler warning appear, and that's your cue to skip to the listener confessions if you don't want any spoilers. Those of you watching on YouTube, we will have a timestamp in the description if you want to skip ahead right to a topic, or if you're listening to on your podcast app, you can skip ahead to the next chapter at any time. Show notes for this episode will be available on nerdconfessions.net. And so for starters, let's see what everybody did this week. Soil, what'd you do?
So I did a lot of stuff. I watched Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi twice. I watched...
Twice?
Twice. Mm-hmm. Today I watched it again.
With who?
With my office. Yeah, baby. And then I watched Cuba and the Cameraman, which is a documentary on Netflix, which is actually pretty interesting. It's about a guy that goes...
Is it with fancy shares? Is it with fancy shares?
I don't know what fancy shares are.
Fancy shares?
I don't know what those are.
Like in the theater?
The chairs were
fancy chairs.
Oh, these were, yes.
They were the kind that when we went to go see Wonder Woman at the...
I won't talk about it anymore. Stop.
Okay. She's jealous.
And then we... Cuba the Cameraman is about a guy that goes back to Cuba like every 10 years and does a video documentary, which is pretty interesting. Starts in 1979, I think, and then it goes to 2016. Planet Earth series, I just started watching. This, pretty interesting. Born in China, which is that's a good one.
Super sad.
Yeah, because somebody
for a week, I didn't understand why I was depressed. But then I just
you looked in the mirror.
This is why you said that you want your spirit animal to be...
What would it be?
The red panda.
Oh, no, I said that before that. I didn't even know. He's in it specifically, but I watched this after.
The Snow Leopard family.
Snow Leopard family, Dawa, whatever the name was.
Crushed me.
I'm
sorry.
Apparently, I think the Born in China series steals, I don't know if they stole this from the other Planet Earth, but I heard a lot of Disney nature movies pulled a lot of their footage from Planet Earth.
Really?
Yeah, and then they put it in there. It was just because they had it already. They didn't want to go refilm a lot of the stuff.
I could see like sunsets and mountainscapes or something like that. Yeah.
Probably. The Crown Season 2, rewatch Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, right before we watched the movie.
Very nice. Will, what did you do?
Well, I had a lot of work, so I didn't get as much time to do what I wanted to do this week, but I did watch Star Wars 3 times.
Oh, nice.
So that was nice. The new one, The Last Jedi. And I also got to try out at a holiday party, a game that's not out yet called Electronauts. It's a VR game in which you make music done by Servio, same people that did one of my favorite VR games, Raw Data.
Nice. Ellie, what'd you do this week?
All work and no play makes Ellie a sad woman.
So you didn't do anything?
You got an axe with you?
Yeah. And, I watched the movie, obviously, and I watched it again. So I watched it twice this past weekend, and I had a lot of work. So I had movies playing in the background, so I rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
It's a good one.
Huh?
It's a good one.
Yeah, and Rogue One.
Very nice.
Diego Luna.
Cool. And then as for myself, I also saw Star Wars Episode 8 twice. Continuing to watch Food Wars, Dragon Ball Z Super. I got back into ARC playing the new expansion map Aberration, which is about a ARC that is
very
malfunction and it has, it's very sci-fi-ish with aliens and the whole, it's like multi-layered. There's radiation and earthquakes. It's crazy. It's like hazmat suits and you can zip line and rock climb. There's crazy stuff in it. I'm also continuing to watch Black Clover, Peaky Blinders, which is almost over this week, and I picked up Vikings season 4, which is actually really good considering I didn't know where they were going to go with this story now, but it's actually really good to watch.
Viking.
Yes. And with that, we're moving on to
Nerd News. Let's start with some Star Wars news. NASA confirms astronauts will watch Star Wars The Last Jedi in space. And basically, they're going to send up the movie as a digital format in the next Dragon drop-off by SpaceX. So they'll watch it. They don't know if they'll be watching. I don't know if they're still watching it now, but it should be Friday or last Friday. They should have been watching it. So I don't think they sent it over digital because they don't have very good signal up there. So it would take forever to download.
That kind of sucks that they should have done this before it even came out. That'd be good press. What did the astronauts in space think about the movie before it came out? You know what I mean?
That's true.
We Love It Here.
They do have webcams, so it would be really scary if they had it before everybody and they're like webcamming it out. I'm watching this too, and then you guys can watch it. You know?
It's not as good press as like a movie like Gravity, though.
Yeah, Gravity.
Remember when they're projecting Gravity out there, and then down the same alleyway that was in the movie next to that actual movie happening.
Yeah.
And they're watching it. I thought it was funny.
They did this with this, so I thought that was really cool. But they don't have any reactions yet. But I thought it was pretty cool. They sent it up to space. Guess Mickey Mouse is gonna add some new employees to his company. Disney is gonna buy Fox and merge. Welcome Home X-Men. By the way, Simpsons called it 19 years ago with a scene out of their show. 19 years ago, they called it with this part. 20th Century Fox, a division of Walt Disney Company. So they called it almost 20 years ago.
Do you guys feel that with Disney taking over all these superhero rights, that it'll turn into Disneyland and the artists will get not underpaid?
You mean Stanley?
I don't think so. I think Marvel will continue as its own entity. I don't think it'll be causing that much problems.
That's what you say now.
Well, the comic book artists
already notoriously underpaid.
I mean, they need their comic book artists to make the art still. So I don't know. I don't see them changing that too much.
I don't think so
I know
either.
like concept artists for Disneyland stuff get paid trash, but I don't know if the Marvel
I just feel
ones
like maybe it won't. It'll even like discourage a very high thinking. I don't know where I'm going with this.
You're thinking.
I don't know where you're going with this either.
I don't know where you're going with it either because Disney promotes a lot of good artwork and storylines. So.
Yeah, but then at the same time, if you're an artist trying to seek for something different, something to help develop, this has become an empire of its own.
You've seen that Marvel's is basically running under their own wing. They're not really under the Disney wing too much.
It's just waiting for them to like, hey, we gotta.
All I care about is don't fuck up Deadpool.
It's making it hard for people to do creative things with these properties.
Right.
But I don't think it's that big of a deal because they're just pretty much buying the rights to the characters, even though they're buying the company. So it gives people a chance to make something new instead of repeating the whole thing over and over again.
Like John McClane is a character now for Disney, so make another Die Hard.
Yeah.
But
that's like sequel madness.
Yeah.
So just because they're buying all the rights to all these properties doesn't mean somebody can't make something new. That's great.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to make it take off.
Yeah.
But it's possible.
You can do spin-offs of things if you want.
But why did I have to buy everything?
If you go down another little
For all
bit,
the crossovers.
you get a little map of the character map.
I like that map.
So this map shows you what Marvel now owns and what they share.
What's
So
that big thing?
if this Fox thing goes through,
Galactus.
you'll get
Where's he from?
Galactus.
He's from the Fantastic Four.
He's like a super villain, super. He like eats planets.
He's also in a few other ones, but Fantastic Four, I remember him from.
So Universal still owns 100% of She-Hulk. Daredevil's now back in the fold. Fantastic Four is back in the fold.
Is that Carmen Sandiego?
In Marvel, you got yourself back. The New Mutants came back. All the mutants are back. Actually.
Sony's just fucking things up with Spider-Man.
But if you look at Sony owns a lot of the Spider-Man world, but they own a lot of the villains. So Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Carnage, Lizard, Venom, Black Cat is not a villain, but Silver Sable, Green Goblin, Electro.
All my favorite villains.
Isn't that crazy that they can
Mysterio.
own a character?
I think that
They own the rights to them.
I think
That's
that
Didn't Stan Lee own the rights?
Marvel
They pay
only
him.
Marvel only has the characters that they currently have listed in this little bubble because they bought them for the movie. So the next movie that they want to do that's big that has new villains will probably just buy the other ones or have some sort of agreement where they can use it.
The cool thing is they got Gambit back. So Gambit being back into the fold is amazing because a Gambit solo movie would be amazing.
Where does
They wanted to do a Gambit with Channing Tatum as Gambit,
Where does Kingpin?
but I don't know if they're still doing it.
Kingpin sits in his own bubble because he's part of.
There's no way, no.
He's part of like a Netflix thing or somebody else's thing. But if you look at it, it's pretty cool because the fold is opening. Spider-Man's back at the Marvel side. But here's the thing that happens. If Sony doesn't use the property for those characters in 10 years,
It's up for grabs.
it's up for grabs. So, but that's why that's why Fox made a Fantastic Four movie, and when it flopped, they said, "Oh crap." I don't know if that's why they sold it. I think they sold it for a lot more reasons. I think they had a lot of debt and they were trying to maybe get out of the entertainment business. But we'll see what happens. It's pretty cool. I don't see why not. It may come into antitrust laws, but we'll see what happens.
We'll get some interesting crossovers.
Where's He-Man?
Ajit Pai, the guy, is defending
Fuck
the
it.
repeal of net neutrality with a rage and cringe induced video. I'm sorry, but this is a stupid video.
I hate this guy so much. He's the worst. He needs to die.
So basically, in this video, he's talking to the viewers of the YouTube video, saying that there's nothing's going to change. It's just going to go back to pre-Obama. He said you could still order your food online.
But that's a lie. It's not going back to pre-Obama.
Yeah, that's what
because pre-Obama, there were net neutrality restrictions set out that was been there since the dial-up era. And in fact, the Obama revision to that made it a little bit easier for the companies.
Yeah.
But it didn't get rid of net neutrality.
But
so
what-
it allowed them to think, to call themselves appliance or something like that.
Utility.
Companies. Utility.
Yeah.
And so that allowed them to do some things that was to their benefit. And that was like a compromise, I think. But now he got away with voting it off. It's not
Right.
It's not the end, but he got away with saying, oh yeah,
Why
let's
would
get rid of
he
it.
pose with a gun like
So what he was
He's a
doing is that you
fucking
can
idiot.
buy a gun, you can play with things, you can watch movies, you can binge watch stuff on
This video he made is basically a slap in the face to everybody with intelligence. It was like,
Pretty
who's going to
much.
believe this? And he said there was like a controversy.
God.
There was a controversy that said all the negativity about net neutrality being taken away is fake. It was like the majority of those comments are fake. But then you can see, look at this video. They got 9,000 likes, so I guess 9,000 people like that he's being a troll or like that net neutrality is taken away. And then we have 227,000 people that don't like it. So does this tell you what the people want? I think so.
Yeah, I mean
the video has 1,200,000 views.
Yeah. I mean, but you're looking at the majority of people don't like this because he basically looked at people and said that you can do everything that you want on the internet. Even after I take away, I give companies the ability to control.
Fuck you in the ass.
Okay, relax.
Because that's what they're doing with this.
Are you yelling at the mic? I think it's really interesting that he's saying this. I don't think he's, I don't know who he was trying to appeal to because
to
it didn't
Tommy
work.
because he's
He's trying to he's either trying to troll us or he's trying to appeal to like the hipsters, I guess. I don't know.
The generation that he's trying to appeal to didn't make sense. So, all
No,
right.
not at all.
Anyway, buy Ajit and your luscious lips, as others say.
People say it's swollen because he's been sucking on the Verizon check mark.
Okay, nice. That's gross.
Why do you have to say that?
Understand that's what people say.
A Hawaii politician is introducing a bill that would encourage creation of a locally owned broadband networks. Quote, one option is to reject corporate internet service providers altogether and create the internet for ourselves. So basically what he's probably talking about is like an intranet system, but bigger, and then turn it into internet basically again for yourself. Like local servers with everything you need for the internet. Redo the internet. But if it would work in Hawaii because Hawaii is an island, but how would you work it here in like California?
I have no idea.
So it's very difficult. But I think the thing is that you can win this by is if one company decides to do it right, everyone will flock to that one company. If Verizon starts to throttle, then you have to go to a company like let's say Spectrum or everybody else doesn't want to.
Maybe that'd be some competition, but yeah.
We don't know yet. I mean, the thing is that because of the way that this is all built out, that you can only get maybe DSL or cable or fiber optic in one area, and you can only get it from one or two providers, it really makes it difficult for you to make a wise decision. So the thing that needs to go into is you should be able to choose more than those have the competition open up, but that's not going to happen because they keep cutting it off from everybody. So let's see where this goes. If this guy gets his legislation process across, maybe we can see a small model of free internet that is owned by the people that want to use it. That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. From companies buying them off before, I think like a good example would be FM radio. Mm-hmm. FM radio started and AM radio didn't want the competition, so they're trying to make it so that it's harder for FM radio to happen.
Federally corrupted communication? Is that what it is?
Communications.
Sounds about right.
But then they have federal... I know what it is. What is it?
Federal corrupted communication.
That's not what it is.
Yes, it is. Fuck them and fuck that.
Can you stop?
I'm sorry.
You
I'm
sound
sorry.
crazy as hell.
I apologize. This shit kind of pisses me off. You got to pay for the internet and pay to go to another website?
Federal Communications Commission. That's why I was very close. So the Federal Communications Commission, then you have this group. I think one big thing they did in recent past is when somebody messed up with Spectrum, AT&T buying T-Mobile and it fell through, FCC pulled some of their Spectrum from AT&T and gave it to T-Mobile. I was like, how do they do that? How do they control the Spectrum? And that Spectrum is your internet range. That's why some people have better signal in areas than you do. That's why. So it's because it's based off that. Anyway. Every color lightsaber in Star Wars in one chart. So if you want to see the chart to see how many colors of Star Wars swords,
look
I
at
thought
the
this was
video
really cool.
or the article on our website.
Why are some shorter than the others?
Because this is how many times you see them. So if you see,
is this in a website?
Yeah, it's on a website. So if you look at it, it looks like it's close to 40 blue lightsabers.
You can't see the white.
30, yeah, white is almost zero. It's probably not there at all. That's why they use the white background. You get like 38 red. You get like 29 green, almost 10 yellow, 5 maybe 4, not almost 10. You have 5 yellow, 4 purple, 1 violet, no white, 1 orange, and like a whole bunch of others.
I wonder what the other
There's
is.
that many
Black,
others?
bronze, silver, carmine, magenta, and turquoise.
Who has those? I never.
It's probably in the game systems.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's extended universe stories.
I've had one that was white with the black interior.
And in case of overlap between so this is basically legends and canon, so it doesn't matter. But that's pretty cool.
It's a pretty cool little chart.
I didn't know that there was a lot of people with. I know yellow meant something at one point in time, and I knew green meant something.
Yellow was more of. There was another faction. Actually, there was a whole expansion that came out for the Old Republic.
Yellow is
and
the
they used
enemy to
yellow.
the green.
Yeah, huh?
Yellow is the enemy to the green.
Could be from
No,
Green
no.
Lantern.
I'm just kidding. That's a
Green Lantern. Yeah, I was like Green Lantern.
Yeah.
God.
Blue. I remember
No, they
blue-
were supposed to be like a faction that's not Sith, not good. They're like the neutrality.
from what
that comes out of
from what
nowhere.
I remember.
Purple's only one person.
Blue is
Purple's not one person. It
Guardians?
says right here, it's like 7 people.
It's bullshit. It's Mace Windu was the only one.
He's
well. We're talking about.
This includes more than just
this
the.
it includes the
prequels.
book.
You know how that happened, right?
I know how that happened. Yeah, he requested it.
Yeah, because he couldn't tell which one was him in the fight.
Yeah. So red,
understand that?
blue are guardians. They're basically fighters. Green are intellectuals, from what I remember. The ones that would use the sword. They were like less entitled to using the sword and more entitled to thinking with their head. Red is just Sith color, right? I don't know what purple was. I don't know what violet was. I'm reading this off of what KOTOR told you the swords were about.
Wasn't green like the wise ones, and
yeah,
then blue like the masters, but not like the wise masters?
It's close to what I just said. But yellow were like the inept adepts. They're like the ones that are not 100% there yet. They were. I don't remember if I was right. They're like not 100% there yet, or they're really not great fighters or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, that is it for the nerd news, and we want to move on to the main section for everybody. So let's get into it.
So now we're going to talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yes, The Last Jedi is coming up.
So what is, for people that may not know, and I think that would be hard for somebody not to know, what is Star Wars?
Why do you want me to get the toaster card?
What is Star Wars: The Last Jedi?
It's about The Last Jedi.
Can I tell you?
What is it?
The Last Jedi?
No, it's Star Wars. The Last Jedi is a direct sequel to The Force Awakens and the 8th episode in the Star Wars episodic film line. It is also the third film to be released since George Lucas sold the property to Disney.
Yes.
So, do you think they've gotten better or worse?
Worse.
The film picks up right where The Force Awakens left off, with Rey holding Luke's lightsaber and handing it to him, and the New Order was damaged and striking back at the Resistance. That's where it left off.
Yep.
And that's where we immediately pick up. So let's talk real quick about some of the development. Second unit photography began on pre-production at Skellig Michael in Ireland. That's the island. It's also called Acto in the movie. That's the name of the planet that Luke is on. On September 14th, 2015, they had some weather difficulties when they're filming there, so it was only about 3 days of filming. So very short filming time there.
For the second unit.
They're planning 4.
Didn't they also film in South America?
Yeah, they did. Bolivia.
The production began work on the 007 stage in Pinewood Studios on November 15th, 2015. In January 2016, production of Episode 8 was delayed until February 2016 due to script rewrites. I wonder what they rewrote.
Oh, a
Who?
lot of stuff.
Which side someone goes to?
I don't think that's. They might have rewrote like a couple of things.
The porgs.
Yeah, maybe.
That's yeah.
This is the first time I've seen a lot of behind-the-scenes things before the movies even come out. The Force Awakens didn't have this much behind-the-scenes stuff.
I think it's because Force Awakens was supposed to be super secret. Remember when Force Awakens released a trailer and everyone made up all these crazy fantasy
theories,
and fan theories? Oh, that this guy, this John Boyega is actually the son of Lando Calrissian, and I was like, just because he's black, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're like the only black person in this universe. Principal photography wrapped up on July 22nd, 2016. According to the creature designer, Neil Scanlan, there are more practical effects in this film than any other Star Wars film.
Practical effects like
non-CG.
models and stuff?
Yeah, non-CGs.
Like people in masks and models and things like that.
That's good. Makes everything aesthetic.
So that's what he says. The film implements 180 to 200 creatures created with practical effects, some of which were cut from the final edit.
Yeah, I mean, you start off with a bunch of practical effects from the beginning. So, but practical effects actually look good, I thought.
It's interesting. It looks like we all know the porgs are like the merchandising thing for this movie and the crystal things. It looks like some of the scenes with the porgs and some of the scenes with the crystal things could have been
things?
the crystal foxes.
Okay.
Could have been practical and not CG.
I think they were. There was one scene that I was like, that is a practical effect. I don't want to break it, but I'll tell you later in the spoiler slot. But there's a lot of parts where you're like, wait, did they just go to practical effects in this scene? Practical effects are such as the ones that, like, instead of using a CG model, they use a clay model or real model or something that was really there. Just throwing it out there for Tommy.
Well, Tommy's dying. If you don't know who Neil Scanlan is, just to tell you quick, previously worked on The Force Awakens, and I think one of his most successful films in which he was responsible for the success of it was Babe, which got an Academy Award for visual effects in 1996. A recent example of a film that he's worked on is Jurassic World. He's also like tons of other films. He does a lot of films with practical effects and things. The music, a change from the Force Awakens director. J.J. Abrams was the film director for Force Awakens. This film, Rian Johnson, is now the director and the writer for this film. and the only other film he's really known for is Looper. So I thought I was.
He's known for Looper and something else, but yeah,
that's the other film that's not as
it's
good.
not
as
very
Looper.
well known. Yeah,
not as well known as Looper. Looper wasn't that great, so it's an interesting choice that they chose this director.
Mm-hmm.
Is it weird that I could tell sometimes what was CG and what wasn't?
No, that's not weird at all.
Like there was a lot of scenes when I saw it the second time around where I'm like, this looks like a made set that they're sitting in. And then there's one part you're like, there's no way this looks so CG.
Right.
In the prequels,
It's okay for you to
it was
see
all
that.
CG, so you can tell. It's good.
Yeah, I like it all CG.
All right, stepping into the music, which is part of development. At Tanglewood Concert in August 2016, John Williams confirmed he was scheduled to start scoring episode 8. He began recording the score off and on in December 2016 until April 2017.
Wow.
So that's a big difference compared to like Blade Runner 2049, in which the guy had like 1 month.
Well, the guy's really good. Like, he's shown his merit.
Well, no, this was like a year time, while the other guy had 1 month.
I don't care.
Well, how does your comment relevant then?
It's good music. That's
So
it.
He did a good job.
Take a year to do it.
He did a good job. That's all that
But
matters.
also, you have to think about it this way: the music with Star Wars is so iconic. You can't. It's really difficult to write around it because you have to use pieces of the other songs, like the Leia theme. It was, the Leia theme's in there, but you can't use exactly the Leia theme because you get bored of it. So you have to mix it up, play with it.
Spruce it up,
It's very
but keep
difficult.
it Star Warsy.
But that's the difficult part. But go ahead, keep going, Will.
Yeah, keep going.
Tell me about it.
On February 21st, 2017, recording was underway with Williams conducting.
William?
Ooh,
What?
John.
You were conducting?
Oh, not me.
Oh.
All right, so let's talk about the cast. We got Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker.
Oh, he's
That's
back.
not a surprise there, right? We all saw him in the trailer.
When he talked, I heard the Joker.
Yeah, because he's old now. His voice has changed a lot from the regular Star Wars. So yeah, you do hear a lot of Joker.
Doesn't have that high pitch.
But what's interesting is to see how much he's evolved as an actor. I thought, like, compared to the original trilogy, his acting has really stepped up. I thought, like, one of the best actors of this film was Luke.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, he's
There's
strong.
one scene in particular, like,
he's
he did a
stronger
really good
than
job
he's
at.
ever been in the Star Wars films, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Star Wars films.
Wizened up.
Have you ever seen the anime Guyver?
No.
He played a detective, like a cop in that movie, and it was the worst.
Oh, wow.
I think it came out like after A New Hope. I'm not sure when it came out, but it was terrible. Carrie Fisher is Leia Organa. Her voice got a little more bearable in this one. In Force Awakens, I'm like, what the hell is she saying?
Yeah, well, her voice is still pretty deep. So, and that's because
And they had technical difficulties with the voice too, because they weren't able to take her in for the second recording to do like the voiceovers. So there's some parts where like, what the hell did you just say?
Well, it's unfortunate she passed away. So
Yeah,
there's
so they
nothing to
couldn't.
do about it.
I know so they said that they had just original recordings from when they took the scene, so they had to do some like work with the audio. So it was like you could tell, that this part is like must have been hard for them to do because it sounds off.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I mean, but at the least they paid homage to her by not re-recording with somebody else's voice that was mimicking her. So thank you very much for not doing that.
Adam Driver as Kylo Ren.
He was funny.
I liked him better in this one than I did The Force Awakens.
Because you got to see his face more?
Because he was less whiny.
Because, he was less
feel like
whiny,
he was
and there was
more
more
whiny.
anger. It felt more, like, real. Whereas in the past, we was just, like, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, and it's like, He was way more whiny, like Soil says. In this one, he was more like, he knew what he was doing.
This movie, I realized how built he is.
Yes.
It's like, what the heck?
He's built like a square, and I was like...
This is like-
Well, his character is pretty solid as a person. The person that plays him is pretty solid, I guess.
I think one of his
Adam
biggest
Driver's-
strengths is his voice.
Yeah, he is. His ears make him look goofy though. And when his hair,
His whole face makes him look goofy. His
Well,
little
his
chin.
hair-
Yeah, his face
That's
is goofy.
mean.
He's got like a little tiny chin. But no, it's good. I mean,
not a strong chin.
I like films where they don't use beautiful people.
The hair works
I
for...
like
You don't think he's beautiful?
You don't
I
think
like
Daisy
I like
really
I like
is
films where they use people with flaws. Because everybody has something great about them. You don't have to
He has
be a
flaws?
perfect person. Like you don't need a movie with a million Ryan Goslings in it.
Yeah,
What's wrong with Daisy Ridley?
she's not ugly.
Yeah, Daisy really has nothing wrong with her. Either did Mark Hamill until he got in the car accident. But
What?
Damn.
Car accident.
Yeah, he got in a car accident, and that's
He
how
got
he got
in a
that
car
big scar.
accident very
He had that
soon.
plastic surgery, and he started looking
I
a lot
saw
different.
nothing wrong with
Then he got
any
really
other
angry.
people.
There's, I don't know if it's for sure, but that's part of why they put the Wampa scene in the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, so that he got like damaged and in the back to tank
Yeah, that is why.
to explain for the scar. Anyway, moving on. Daisy Ridley as Rey.
I liked her a lot better this time around.
I did it.
Because she actually did more? You didn't like it more? Why not?
I felt like she was too naive.
Well, I think what the thing. I don't want to break anything, but
I saw growth in her character.
her character
didn't.
her character grew. I think, but her character grew in a way where I don't want to break it, but I think the force in her character, the force with her, became strong enough where she started to choose the journey based off her conscious choices, which
Like
are
her
also
powers.
no. She made decisions based off of her conscience. Like, this is good, this is bad. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. This is what we want to do. This is what I feel was right. This is what I feel was bad. Hey, look, it's Adam Driver.
The only thing I saw, I don't know if I should even talk about it. Her driving mode was just to figure out her family background.
Well, same thing with the first
And she
one. She was like
based-
waiting for her family.
She kind of based her decision making over that. That's why I feel like she's naive, because certain decisions were just based off of trying to come to that.
Could be, but I don't think that's 100% of her ambition. I think
Well,
her
that's all I saw most of.
Next character, John Boyega as Finn. Is he just
good-
more Jar Jar Binks? Just kidding.
No,
is not
he's
Jar
good.
Jar
He's a
Binks.
good actor. The comedy was pretty good, but I mean, the scenes with him and another character was pointless.
Yeah, they didn't pop as much.
I just think that John Boyega's character could have had a lot more growth in this.
It
but-
could have been a whole lot
But
better.
the difference is that he's there, and I like John Boyega. He's going to be the next. He's going to be in a lot more movies, from what I understand. He's going to be the new Pacific Rim. So keep it going.
No, he's a good actor. I like him.
Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron.
Love Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, he was really good. I liked him way more this time around.
Yeah,
The only thing
his
I don't-
character really grew in this film.
Yeah, it grew on me a lot.
Only thing I didn't like him is that X-Men movie.
What?
What X-Men movie was in?
What was a movie where he was an evil guy? It was recent.
I don't remember.
What is this? The
He
Apocalypse.
was in.
Oh, he was.
He was
that guy?
Apocalypse. I was like, why?
No,
Oh, he was
wasn't,
Apocalypse?
was he?
Yeah, he was Apocalypse.
I couldn't even tell.
No.
Are you kidding me?
He was not.
Yes, he was.
You lie.
So Ellie and I watched Ex Machina, and
I
it
did
has
not like him in that movie.
it has Oscar Isaac in it. Well, you're supposed to hate him.
and it has William in it.
It has Domhnall Gleeson in it. Both of them
Rojo.
together. And so going from that movie to Star Wars, it's just weird because both those actors are together again.
Yeah.
So
But
anyway,
in opposite roles.
What about our favorite background actor?
Andy Serkis. Well, he was
Yes.
playing Snoke, and I thought Ellie said she didn't like Snoke, right?
Yeah, he wasn't intimidating enough for me.
But I thought like the way he moved and his eyeballs, and I thought he was intimidating. I liked
The
his
movement
character
was good.
design.
He
His-
looked too dainty
His
for me.
teeth bothered me, but that's all.
Yeah, his teeth were a little weird.
His hole in his face.
He looks like he
bothered
ate a
me.
lot of cheese, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Like, I feel like if you were to be in the
Space
same room
cheese?
with him, he would smell bad.
yeah. He looks like he'd be a little bit stinky. I mean, he probably has to like clean out them holes in his face. But
Yeah,
I
and
think
yeah.
he's Andy Serkis did a good job with him. But Andy Serkis also plays the Porg.
Wait, does he really?
No wonder I like the pork so much. Lupita Nyong as Maz
Luongo.
Kanata.
Mongo.
Lupita.
I mean, she had a
Luongo
very short scene, so I mean,
Who?
there wasn't
Maz
really much.
Kanata
There's really not much.
is Lupita.
It was like
Luongo.
really quick.
Oh, it's the one with Finn?
The lady that has
Maz,
the
remember Maz?
giant glasses.
Oh,
Lupita Luongo's voice is awesome. That's it.
Why?
She has a great voice.
Domhnall Gleeson as General Hux,
a.k.a.
Oh.
William.
aka not me.
He looked different from the beginning to the end of the movie.
His eyebrows got huge.
Yeah.
Is that just me?
Yeah.
I didn't
Got
notice.
angrier. He reminds me of a drawing that you put angry eyebrows.
I did
What-
like his character though.
What I meant is his character looked different from the end of Force Awakens to this movie. I don't know what
I
happened
think
to him.
his character. I didn't like him towards the beginning, but like in the middle and the ending, I really liked his character.
I know what it is. He just looks more tired.
Maybe.
He looks more tired, more stressed. I feel it.
Could be.
Looks like William.
Could be.
Oh my goodness, because I'm stressed out all the time.
Yep.
Anthony Daniels is back as C-3PO.
It was good.
He's good. There's nothing to do about
There's
it.
more Anthony Daniels.
Anthony
Are they all
Daniels
used to?
is still here.
Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma.
It was good.
That was intense.
She's very cool as a person in Game of Thrones, and in this,
She gets lost in the costume.
you don't see
Yeah.
her face.
Well, we can't go into details on whether
we
you
don't
Because
see the face or
unfortunately,
not.
she plays a stormtrooper.
You don't get to see
Well,
her
that's
as a.
true, but there's a scene where they bring it together.
Yeah, but it's very small.
I'm not.
Kelly Marie Tran as Rose Tico.
Mhm.
She's a new character.
Yeah, she's in it.
Didn't like.
And we can't really give away any of the origins, but I thought she did okay. I mean, this is my opinion. Tommy didn't like her at all.
I mean, look, her acting was okay, but I just didn't like her character. That's it. Plain and simple.
all right, next character. Laura Dern as Vice Admiral Holdo
Welcome
The
back,
one-
Jurassic Park lady.
with the purple hair.
That's where she's from. Holy crap! The whole movie, I'm like, where have I seen this
I
girl?
felt the same.
Oh my
And,
God.
like, I don't like her face.
I don't either. I don't like
She's
her
from
face.
Jurassic Park.
I didn't like
Yeah.
her face then. I didn't like her face then.
Oh, she looks
now.
horrible
Why?
now. Yeah,
She looks okay.
Yeah.
Dude,
so
just like
goofy.
she reminds me, like if I were to meet her in person, she would just be that nasty lady. Like
No,
I don't wanna
no,
talk
that's
to
the
you.
lady. You know, like you go to like ring up some, it's like
I
you,
thought
like
she was
order
fine.
food and they give you attitude.
You're like, really?
There's tax.
I
Like
thought she was
that's her.
fine.
Yeah.
You guys are really bitter about her. Jeez.
I don't know. That's I just never liked her face because
Wow.
she has that resting bitch face.
I don't think
Yeah,
I think she still did movies for a long time,
fitter
but she
character.
hasn't been in a big movie. I don't think she's been in a huge movie since Jurassic Park. Maybe I'm being ignorant. I haven't seen her since. then.
I personally haven't. So you guys got to be really careful with this one. Benicio Del Toro as DJ.
I like them,
He was
Wait.
nice.
Oh, you're right.
and I believe, even though people don't think so, I believe his character is going to do something bigger next episode.
I think it died.
I think
I
will
feel like there's a
see.
reason because he was doing something
I
when
think he's
it
something
wasn't
special.
explained.
but I
we
like
will
him.
see. We will see. Jonas Suatamo as Chewbacca.
Well, what happened to the other guy?
Peter Mayhew?
he died.
No, Peter Mayhew. He's got that.
His
Unfortunately,
knee
for very
problems.
tall people, they have bone problems, and I think he just had too many bone problems.
Gigantism.
So like soil.
Yeah, maybe. Or Tommy's face. I think the thing that we have
Excuse
to
me?
look into is Peter Mayhew's.
Peter Mayhew may have been in some scenes, but
Yeah.
he's not credited as the main actor for
Yeah,
Chewbacca.
I don't think. I mean, the guy's in a costume. You can't really do too much.
Yeah, it was good. It was good at the.
Yeah, maybe he's doing the voice. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, what
All
did
right.
you do?
No, actually, his voice is made from a bear. Or
It was
something.
made by 3 animals.
Yeah, 3 animals. All right. The last character that we're going to talk about, which is a notable character, is something that Sohil and I got very frustrated with earlier today, and that is Amanda Lawrence as Commander Daisy,
What the hell's that?
also
that?
known as the giant nose that gets in every scene.
Yeah.
What?
So there's one of it's the commander lady that helps. She's not a commander. I don't know exactly what
She's part of the resistance,
She's part of the
and she's
Resistance.
always like
The
on
one
some
with the big
ship.
nose?
Yeah, she's always on some ship or telling something, and her nose just enters the scene. She turns her head.
her nose enters the scene before her face does, and we were making fun of it. It's like a space.
You always see the outline of the nose
That comes
and then
through.
turns. It's like my nose. Like if I were in Star Wars,
Oh,
you see my nose first.
she announces something.
Yeah. She announces a lot
Oh.
of things. Yeah. Just continuing
Oh, I
on.
hated her.
She was all right. She was all
How
right.
do you hate somebody for like the 4 scenes they have?
Like I said, this is one
Didn't
of
like
this is
them.
one of the things I like about Star Wars. You don't have to have beautiful, perfect people everywhere. That's what
You know,
annoys
I was
me.
thinking of that when I saw. I
Well,
was like,
everyone's alien.
I like having people with flaws in films. And
it was a
things.
long time ago. They didn't
they
have
killed a
plastic
lot of.
surgery
They
then.
killed good people. What are you talking about?
Long.
Replace your
time
hand with a
ago.
goddamn-
All right, guys. So we're
Robot.
still in non-spoilers. So let's go into overall thoughts now. First, I want to know your guys' opinions are on the porgs. Were they too bad,
They're
like too
cute.
annoying? Were they a
Pointless.
waste of time?
Pointless.
Tommy, you go first.
The porgs were pointless. I didn't like them at all. I get where everyone's all about the cute part, but it's like it didn't do anything with the story. Didn't bring anything forward.
It
There's
did.
absolutely no reason
It
for it.
did.
What?
Did the Jawas have a purpose?
We're at
Besides
spoilers
transporting
now,
the
you said?
droids?
Non-spoilers. No spoilers.
But the porgs didn't do shit.
Listen.
didn't have to.
Listen. Ellie, go next.
They were just a waste of time.
Ellie, go next.
They were just good for comedic humor
Ellie, go next.
sections and like
Trying to
people
compare
go,
it to something.
So, you're going?
It's like salt and pepper on a steak.
You can compare it to
My thing with the porg
Any other
is the
creature
porg-
from Star Wars.
The porg was a creature that was intentionally made to be cute. I don't know if it added a bunch to the story or took away. It didn't take away from the story, but I don't know if it added a lot.
I think it added a little bit.
I think it added stuff, but I like a game where they played with practical effects and CG effects on them.
Same.
There's scenes where they're impractical, and I'm like, what is the reason to do that way? And why?
I like it, though.
I thought it was cool because they look goofy. But I'll let you go next, Ellie. Wait, you're next. Go ahead.
I think it just it reminded us that we are in the Star Wars universe in a foreign land, because if it wasn't for creatures like the porg in the island that
You'd just be thinking of the Irish island.
you'd just be thinking of an Irish
No,
island.
it's okay to have it like for one scene and be done with it.
But why
They were
not?
only in like
No,
4
shoot.
scenes.
I'm
total.
okay with
It's too money.
I think they're okay. I just think they don't add a ton of story or
They
anything.
don't. It's
I think
just-
the reason they were put into the
It's to sell shit. That's
I
what
think
it's for.
everybody knows they're in the Millennium Falcon. Everybody knows. If you didn't watch the trailer, for
Yeah, it's
God's
in the
sake,
trailer.
then you're crazy. But it's in the trailer. But the reason why they were put in the Millennium Falcon, I don't know.
merchandising, bro.
We understand it was for merchandising.
up.
That's
Oh,
the next
God
cute thing to sell.
That's why,
First,
that's
BB-8,
why Ewoks were made.
BB-8 was sold.
That's
all
why
over,
Ewoks were made.
That's what Ewoks are made.
and Ewoks
That's-
are gross and horrible.
That's why Jar Jar originally was made.
Jar
Jar
It a
Jar
bad
was
idea.
also gross and horrible.
Not only that, but not only them. Everything in the Star Wars universe,
You're
the
smart.
Pod
toy
racers.
sales, made more money than the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So don't stress out.
That's
The
where
toys-
George Lucas got to start. He kept the rights for the film. They gave all the money to them, but he got merchandising.
Yeah. So if you think about it, the porg is a merchandising tool, and we went to go shopping for porg items. We didn't find shit. So that tells you they're selling.
Yep, they're selling.
So they're cute. I think they're based off a puffin with a
If you
penguin.
go to Amazon, they'll probably be inflated price.
So I'm looking
Go
for
ahead.
it.
Go ahead.
It's
Go
just
ahead.
that it's just like why would they choose the porg? Why do they choose these characters? Obviously because it's something that we don't have in our world. So it's like if you're able to bring something cute and adorable in the Star Wars world into our, it's cute. It's like I brought a porg with me from the island where Skywalker was staying.
What about the crystal foxes? Moving on to next.
Those
question.
I did like, and they had a purpose.
The crystal foxes are really interesting because if they're crystal, then they're a mineral and an animal. So
Well, it's on the planet Crate, which is like all mineral, so
So
it kind of fits in a little
the
bit.
21
Like, what kind of creature would live on that planet?
So the 21 question machine would break because it wouldn't know when you asked it is an animal, mineral, or you would
True.
say both, and then it would not work. But
Or maybe it's like a symbiotic relationship.
it probably is. It probably has something to do with whatever's
They're
happening.
animals
on the
that
planet.
have evolved because of this.
And it probably has something to do with like keeping something. It doesn't matter.
So overall thoughts.
I thought they were cool. I really thought I thought the noise they made was kind of interesting, but they're kind of cool.
So
All right.
overall for the movie thoughts.
Yeah. So now that we talked about those annoying things,
Ellie,
without any spoilers, overall thoughts of the film, because I don't know anything else we can go into detail on.
Mm-hmm.
other
So you want
than
to just
creatures.
rate it?
10
Yeah.
out of
Go
10.
overall thoughts and rate it.
All right, 7 out of 10.
Ooh, nice.
That's all I got.
10 out of 10.
7 out of 10 because how do you say it without spoiling it?
Because you don't know how to think.
7 out of 10
Ewoks.
because I didn't get everything I wanted out of it. And I felt like there was a little bit too much focus on some unnecessary scenes in the film. And there was I could see where they were trying to push it to be a little different from the typical Star Wars movies, but there's certain areas where you're like, all right, you pushed a little too much. You almost made it a little bit into the realm of Marvel. Like, relax.
The comedy level.
Especially the
I got a
comedy
little bit
level.
of a Marvel
But they've
vibe.
always had that.
Especially the second time around, I didn't like that.
I think
as much.
the comedy, and if you ever watched the original Star Wars trilogy,
It's the same.
the comedy was kind of goofy there too.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, it's mainly with C-3PO and R2-D2.
yeah, and but the comedy,
But it wasn't like where to the point where like the soundtrack
But
like stops and like everything gets quiet just for the comedic punchline.
comedy wasn't really in this movie. Was a little bit more
set up and
slapsticky kind of stuff were happening. But you don't expect it, and sometimes it fell flat. But I'm gonna go into my rating. I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10. Not because it was a terrible movie, not because it was horrible. Is the only reason is that I found certain areas and certain characters to be, I don't want to break anything, not to mesh in the world very well, or they didn't need to be in this movie whatsoever. But I understand the reasons why they may have built certain characters and maybe their backgrounds to them. But I really think that this Star Wars universe is a departure a little bit from the original series and a little bit away from The Force Awakens. Some things that happen in this movie, people like these people that get really angry about things, they're not watching the movie without a prejudice of saying they want to see these things answered. And you're not going to get your answers in this movie for everything. And the reason, and that's probably why you're seeing negative reviews out there. Personally, that's what I think.
I agree.
You're anticipating certain answers to come, and you don't get them.
People are coming to this film huge expectations for,
especially after 2 years.
They want to see Luke Skywalker be awesome and the perfect Jedi in their mind that they envision because they grew up watching Luke Skywalker. So they have this thing in their head. This is Luke Skywalker.
Yet you've never seen Luke Skywalker as a Jedi.
Yeah,
really great.
Yeah, this is what I expect from Luke Skywalker in their head.
Especially as an adult now.
No matter what you do, you're not going to be able to live up to that.
Yep.
So, from what I know, like everybody that has seen the movie, second time around, they said, I enjoyed it more the second time around. Like almost everybody that I talked to.
How about a third
every
time?
Every Facebook post I've seen on it, I enjoyed it. Every Twitter post I see on it, I enjoyed it more the second time around.
I didn't. I actually like it
the
the
reason
first
why
time
I
only.
enjoyed it the second time around a little bit more, there's subtle intricacies that I didn't notice the first time because I was going into this movie with, I need the answer to A, B, and C now. And maybe it's my mistake for going into it hoping for that, but there are certain things in this movie.
Well, you're also trying to absorb everything that's going on.
Right, that's
So
true.
the second time
But
around,
there's
you're like,
certain things
I
I
know what's
watched-
happening here. What's going on in that corner? And then you see like, oh.
Certain things I watched in this movie made me very happy because you saw certain new motifs coming out, and you're like, that's really cool. And they're going to take that in a new route that I really want to see. But the problem is that I couldn't pick it up because I was getting angry about certain other things, and it kind of blinds your vision. You kind of get this, angry block. And it happens because you're so attached to certain things or you dislike certain other things. But I don't know what to say about it, but this movie gets a good 8 out of 10, and I'm not. It was not terrible whatsoever. It is a little long; it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, but that's not.
No,
crazy long.
the length is fine. Music is fine. The
No,
art
I don't
is
mean it's,
fine.
I'm not saying it's crazy
Story
long.
needs a little help.
I just think they could have, because the Star Wars universe is growing so much in the movie realm. You have so many more movies to address a lot more stuff, so you don't need to make your movies crazy long, but. I think it was great. I thought the visual effects were great. I thought the story was very well run. Practical effects make me happy. Jokes fell flat. There's a lot of jokes that fell flat. But I just want to leave it at that. I'll let Ellie and Will go to their part.
What do you rate it?
10 out of 10. It was entertaining. I liked it.
Ooh.
That's all you got?
Yep. I'm going to go buy a pork.
I felt like they were pushing a lot to showcase like the fights, like the space fights more, so you could feel like what it's like to be involved, more so than other things in the movie.
Space fights? The space fights they had in other movies, but I get what you're saying because it kind of took you behind the wheel and you kind of felt like
You're a part of it.
Part of it a little bit more.
There was more into each character's, like especially people who die.
Right.
You're like, oh, what?
Yeah, and then the thing I would say, there's certain plots in this movie that could be explained in different ways, but don't think that way. I'll explain that later in the spoiler section. But
Yeah,
I
I expressed the majority of my thoughts on the film. So I would rate the film a 9 out of 10. So what does that put our overall score at?
7, 8, 9, 10. So it's going to be what? It's 8.5?
Yeah,
Probably.
fuck. No, I'm kidding. It's good. You should see it. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
7.5.
Just because I gave it a 7 and someone else gives it a 9.
8.5.
That's why I said 8.5. Why did you do that?
It doesn't mean it's a terrible movie.
8.5.
You need to see it just because it's visually a beautiful movie to watch.
Yeah, I was right.
I know. You just look
8.5.
at the middle.
That's what I did, and then everyone made me
but
feel
I-
bad.
Just watch the movie, okay?
All right. Warning.
Warning. Will Robinson. Warning.
If you don't want to hear spoilers, if you're listening on the podcast app on iTunes or whatever, hit skip to go to
We're
the next
about
chapter,
to spoil the
which will
shit
go to-
out of this.
which will go to listener confessions. If you're on YouTube, you see the spoiler alert icon popping up. That means you got to go to show notes. So you got to go to the description and down below and click on the timestamp for listener confessions if you want to skip ahead to that. So warning.
Warning,
If you haven't
spoilers.
seen the movie, don't listen or
You're a
turn it
robot.
off or skip ahead.
Just
Right?
go away.
So here
Or
we go.
pause, go watch it when we come back.
So here we go.
What are you talking
It's been a week, so hopefully you have seen it.
If you haven't seen it, something's
You
wrong
had a
with
whole week.
Wrong movie.
All right. Okay, so something we need to address here in spoilers is fan controversy. So we talked about Poe and how in the beginning there's a battle that he's involved in, or we kind of mentioned that a little bit. Some of the fan controversy is the dreadnought that he's attacking in the very beginning of the film. Why doesn't it have shields?
It does. They said, "Oh, he's trying to get past our shields. He's not going to get
It's
past
the same
it."
situation as the one with the rebel ship when Kylo Ren's ship comes in. The shields are attuned to the bigger weapons and not the smaller weapons of like the smaller ships. That's why Kylo was able to blow up the bridge, but they are not able to blow up the ship because it's attuned for bigger weapons. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think also you got to keep in mind. Go ahead, Ellie.
I have some news.
Okay, what's
Can I just talk about it? Because it's really cute. I'm looking at this video where this daughter has this dad. He's a Vietnam vet, and he's dying of cancer. And his last wish was to watch Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And they actually, the community got together, took him on a bed, escorted him to the theater, surrounded by Darth Vader and stormtroopers.
That's awesome.
That's cute.
But Darth
That is
Vader's
very
dead.
awesome. Do you remember that guy that on The Force Awakens? Talking about that story. Remember that guy that was dying, and he just asked, "Please let
And
me
that blew
watch
up,
this,"
yeah.
and then
That's
he
cool.
watched it.
Now
And
Mark
he died.
Hamill says he's getting every day millions of questions for "Can I see it? I'm dying cancer," every day
What?
Who?
because Mark Hamill.
So they want to meet him?
No, they want to get an early screening. Like they're gonna die. They have cancer. Come give me a screening. So the dreadnought, yeah, that'd be something. But something I think that might be relevant to this as well is that the cannons on it. The cannons are surface cannons and very high power.
Mm-hmm.
We get later, Poe Dameron, or not Poe, Finn talks about the battering ram cannon, saying that it's miniaturized Death Star tech. Did the Death Star have a shield?
That's what I did not.
No,
have
it did
a
not
shield.
have a shield. So that might be part of why too.
Or
maybe having
It could be
such powerful-
too large to have a shield that big.
Or because
Yeah.
it was firing out. It was firing out to the planet. The shield was off.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't know. Why are we worried about this? You know what I mean? Like
There's a story. There's a
It's
story
like, this is so over the
where Harrison Ford was just coming out, was
He's
filming
dead.
filming the scene after the trash compactor, and Mark Hamill was like, "Oh, my hair's supposed to be wet right now, so I need to get my hair wet." And he turned to Mark Hamill and said, "It's not that kind of movie, kid." It's like don't be worried about consistencies,
yeah.
but fans are always worried about that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Because there's a lot of plot holes in the originals. Remember, everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Freaking! Why is Obi-Wan Kenobi talking about his sister? Like, the only hope and all this other stuff. That's a plot hole." But it's like, is this part of the suspense and the way they're wording it? Like
Right.
Tommy right now is saying that Rey has no parents and stuff like that. So it's just part of the suspense at the time.
So what is she,
Right.
an alien?
no.
Hold on, we'll get to that.
We'll get
Anyway,
to that.
anyway. Next thing that is getting all of fans
Oh my god, I
in a
hated
hissy.
this.
Superman Leia.
Fucking
So listen,
stupid.
It's not Superman Leia. The mistake that people are making out there is that they don't understand that Leia is force sensitive and she force pulled herself to the ship.
But see, that's the thing, though. You don't see any evidence of that in the previous movies.
You don't see any evidence of any Jedi powers in the other movies in the first
All
four.
right. Let me address this quick. The director Rian Johnson explained that he views the use of the Force powers as instinctual, such as when Luke Skywalker was frozen in ice, his feet were, and he was reaching for his lightsaber. He'd never used the Force pull before, but he was in a desperate situation. He had to have it instinctually. He reached out to it, got it, and it pulled Force pulled it to himself.
Yes.
Leia maybe she's never done this before, but we know she's very powerful with the forces. And in the bloodline, we all know she's not more than force sensitive. She's powerful, just like her brother.
You know that she's force sensitive. Well, we don't know how powerful she is, but you know she's force sensitive.
Well, all the
enough.
Skywalkers are powerful.
Right, but we don't know how much she is. But we know that she has something.
So the idea is she instinctually used the force power to save herself in this situation when she's sucked into space.
Well, here's the problem. She force pulls herself back to the ship, but space is so cold. The moment you go into space, your ass is frozen.
Force bubble.
Right, but you don't.
But she never made a bubble.
That's an ability.
Her fingers started to move, and then she started.
That's not how bubbles work.
You don't even know. You don't even know if force bubble, force this, or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't know what she can do.
Her ass was frozen.
They were
and
trying
then
to.
It came back.
What they tried to do with that scene was
Okay.
to show that Leia is still force sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Force
get
powers.
it.
So Rian Johnson thought this would be a good opportunity to show that, hey, Leia can use the force. She has force powers too, basically.
I didn't know that he said that.
He kind of basically got the gist of that. I'm not quoting him, but I'm taking directly what he kind of said.
Okay.
Because he was interviewed about this scene directly.
Okay,
and
cool.
that's what he said about it.
So they have the same ideas as what I'm saying right now.
Basically, yeah. Jedi abilities that were previously only seen in the expanded universe, games, side series, such as the Clone Wars and Rebels, we got to see here. So the ability which basically saved her, which says Force Bubble or whatever you want to call it, because she had to shield her body somehow, and Force Pull. We never really seen anybody pull themselves in weightlessness, right? Because they have less weight than the ship.
You've seen force pull before, but you never seen someone pull an object so big that it caused them to pull themselves.
Right, because they don't have any
Yeah,
stability.
because there's a gravity difference. Yeah.
And then there's other characters that have also survived in space, similar circumstance in canon side series. So she's not the first.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that.
I don't know, it just bothers me. She's old and
So
shouldn't
I'm
live.
sure Tommy would be more accepting if she farted in space and landed.
Personally, I'm okay with it. Like, this is one of the things that I liked better the second.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I'm like, are you serious? Stupid.
Yeah, I actually chuckled myself
some
first time around.
Wicked
So
Witch
like,
of the West shit.
because
Only part that I didn't like is that crystals came off her fingers.
we never saw things get that intense. We're used to what we're used to. You know, they took some of the abilities that we saw in the original trilogy and enhanced it in the prequels. But this is the first time we're really seeing some really stuff we've never been exposed to in live action. So
It just would
it's
have
cool.
been a nice
I'm happy they did
opportunity
it.
to let
So the part that really
Leia
makes you angry, the reason why it bothers everyone so much, is because in this movie you see more heroes passing away or dying in this set of movies so quickly over dumb little things, right? A little torpedo goes into the cop. You've never seen anybody, except for when the Imperials get destroyed, where a torpedo or a little missile goes and blows up the bridge. You've never seen a hero ship do that. You lost Admiral Akbar.
Oh yeah,
You lost him in that scene, which is huge, and then you lose Leia. And you lost all the rebellion generals except for like a few.
yeah,
And then you're like, holy moly.
yeah. I don't think we really addressed the scene to begin with. It's involved Kylo Ren. You saw it in the trailer. He was going to blow her up. He changed his mind, and no, I'm not going to blow her up. She's my mom.
mommy.
And then the two fighters that are escorting him fired, and the bridge blew up. And we lost Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, you
Which
lost
is
that
sad.
Bar, which is,
But he wasn't the same old Admiral Akbar when I saw him anyway. In Rogue One, he didn't seem the same.
yeah, well, he was pre that cool Admiral Akbar we know from Rogue One.
It's a trap, yeah.
But the thing is that Admiral Akbar is old, but we don't know how old he is because you can't tell. He's an alien, obviously.
Yeah.
But
He's a Mon
it's
Calamari.
sad. I mean, they didn't really give him too much screen time anymore. But I thought it was cool she came
All right.
back.
So next controversy. So why didn't the crew get sucked out into space when they opened the door? For
And
them?
when I saw this a second time around, that exact thing came to my mind. Except what they did is instead of having to explain it, they just had mist shoot all into the screen, and then it was the next scene already.
So we don't know if possibly that there's have you ever watched Star Trek?
If you ask me, this is silly because what do you see when the Millennium Falcon's pulled into the Death Star? What do you see when Rey in this movie
That's what I was gonna say.
sent into the docking bay
Yes.
of Snoke's Star Destroyer?
Right, there's a shield that
The technology is there where solid matter will travel through this field or
it's a
whatever
force
it is.
field.
It's Basically, they don't never. I don't know if they've ever addressed it that way.
Yeah,
But they travel through that
They have that in Arc
and
too.
go through our atmosphere.
there's windows, basically windows with a force, a shield type structure, like a bubble. Mm-hmm. You go through it, and there's air on one side and there's space on the other.
So anybody questioning that, it's not unreasonable that they'd build that into a door, especially that's going to a cockpit with windows.
Yeah.
So
Well, no, remember that door led to the main bridge, which was blown up. So there was no reason to have a bubble there.
But you never know.
they
that,
had windows.
Yeah,
What if the windows started leaking?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you have an airlock there?
It's game over.
You may
exactly.
have, you may have,
want to when you build a ship, you want to build it so.
I mean, but that's the bridge. Once the bridge is done,
you never know that if on the other side, if it's just behind the door, they can push it and cause a bubble to go right behind the door.
Yeah.
We never know. The
in
gas
Star Trek,
change.
in Star Trek, when parts of the ship break off, they put that you can't walk
Shield.
through it, but they put that shield up.
Remember, I was talking
So
about.
you got to keep the integrity of the whole intact somehow.
I was going to bring that up because there was a
Submarine,
scene-
same thing. Close the door, lock it. You don't have
It's
force
called a
fields,
bulk.
but
It's called a bulk deck.
yeah, you don't have force
Well,
fields, but this is how you construct the ship.
I mean, is like I said, the way they
Bulkhead,
filmed it
bulkhead.
is that
Bulkhead.
as soon as the door opens, there's mist that fills the screens, and it's the next scene. It's
Pressure
just
scene.
because they don't want to deal with
there's
that.
Well,
too
why
much-
would you want to actually film that? It looks a little silly.
Because they have to, they have to show that they
See,
saved
the
it.
problem is that when you go into it with such when we go into it seeing it like so much practicality, we lose a little bit of the fantasy in it. So when you come in like, oh, we can explain that now. Well, back in the day when the Star Trek people walking around with giant like iPad looking things, people were like, what the hell are they doing with that? No, they didn't say that. People wanted to make those things.
Well, there's also another example of that thing going on. Nobody questioned when the bombers had the whole thing opened up on the bottom.
yeah,
and the girls
Oh,
are
yeah.
over
drink.
And she's still like not dying.
Yeah,
Same
not
technology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's bubble tech.
So there you go.
Yeah, the only thing that we noticed, yeah, that's pretty cool. And those bombers are pretty cool. That's all
I
have to say.
agree. The bombers are very cool. It's very much
B-52.
derivative of World War II.
Yeah, B-52.
I really hated the fact that like one
Flying
gets
fortress.
blown up and then a ricochet goes through two others that easily. I'm like, get the fuck
That's
out.
how it worked in the air back then.
We
too.
never know. Yeah, but
when they're so close together.
Yeah, it blow up. But at the same time, we don't know how strong those bombs are. So let's.
All right,
Anyway.
now we're going to jump up to the next hot topic that's got everybody in a hizzy.
topic.
There was a point in the film where a bunch of Star Destroyers were chasing the Rebel fleet.
Yes.
The Rebel fleet has faster ships than the Star Destroyers that at least these Star Destroyers, and they were able to keep at a distance out to where their main cannon fire would not take down their shields, so that they'd be okay,
Right.
as long as they don't run out of fuel. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't they just send their fighters?
Right.
Okay, the fighters are short range only for Star Destroyers.
Right, and
They
they
don't have hyperdrives. They're not meant to fly a long way, so there's no way the fighters could do that because they're already out of range. I mean, Leia even said it in the film, pull out of range, the fighters will go away. It's part of the whole Empire strategy and also the New Order strategy.
Well, they even said it too. They're small, so they're keeping further ahead.
Have tons of small fighters instead of a few really good fighters. So it's all about show of force with them.
But you got to say it this way as well. If they sent the TIE fighters in, what happens? They may have lost a bunch of those, and then it would have been a counterattack situation. We don't know.
Well, they took out their fighters already on the ship at the time.
Right, but they lost.
They could have lost.
Yeah,
some,
they lost a lot.
The other question is, why didn't the Star Destroyers jump into light speed and cut them off?
See, that is a big issue. That one I had a problem with since the. I was thinking about that whenever I watched it the first
I didn't
time.
think it was too weird. Why would you risk that kind of a weird maneuver when you already have?
Why wouldn't you? I mean, this is the same thing police do. The police, when they're chasing someone on the freeway, they'll have someone on this side, someone on this side. They're going to do the same thing. They don't.
We're talking about ships that could attack and blow up other Star Destroyers, and they're trying to do galactic conquest here. Why would you risk your units like that?
Well, if you put
when they're just going to run out of fuel when they do their screw.
They obviously
Guys, it's called plot.
Obviously, I know, but I was like, obviously, they don't care enough about their Star Destroyers to the point where they lost that dreadnought, and they're like, everyone's like, okay, we lost it.
If they did that, the movie would be over.
If they sent one Star Destroyer in the front and just blocked off those ships, they would have caught up. I think the reason why it is kind of stupid because they could have did that, especially since they can track them now. But I didn't really think it was for plot reasons, or maybe they just really wanted to trace them, or maybe there was a game that Snoke was playing that we don't know. Snoke wanted to get.
I think that was part
Rey
of
there.
Snoke's game because
Yeah.
Snoke knew Rey was going to come.
Yeah, he was just waiting for Rey to come. I think that's one thing. But the ship stuff, it could if you sent 2 Star Destroyers in front, I'm pretty sure it would stop that.
Star
fast.
Wars rhymes, right?
Yeah.
So remember when Luke was taken up to the Emperor?
Yeah,
Luke,
yeah.
when Luke was taken up to the Emperor, he showed Luke, "Oh, look, your rebel fleet is screwed. Look out the window over there."
Yeah.
Same thing happened here. "Oh, look, your rebel friends are screwed. Look out the window."
Yeah, exactly the same. But I thought it was really cool how they do it in this one with this like weird little eyeglass thing.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
was
why would you have a huge like magnifying
Harry
glass?
Potter magnifying glass. Oh,
I don't know.
So
I thought it
weird.
was really cool though because he pulls her up to it and he's like, "Look at this." I was like, "Why is it so specific to this area?" It's like,
Yeah. So another thing that's got everybody worked up is Luke dying the way he did.
I think Luke. This is what I told
I don't
Will
think
when
he
I first
died.
happened. Didn't I tell you the night after we met? I was like, "Listen, it made me feel like Luke Skywalker is the biggest troll I've ever seen in my life." He decided from the beginning of the movie he was a troll. He didn't want to train Rey. He kept Rey on basically on a 10-foot pole status. You can't come close to me. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't fart near me. Don't listen to me. Don't whatever.
Don't fart.
Nah, whatever. Happens. Stay away from me. And what basically happened, he didn't even want to get in his ship and get over
Well,
there.
he sunk the ship.
Yeah, he could still bring it up. He brought it up in his the first movie.
Well, they have that whole scene where the show is X-Wing
Yeah.
as a misdirection, I believe.
Yeah.
Because every second that they show counts.
well, they
'Cause-
had to do that in order to like make you think like, oh, he did show up at the end,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then oh shit, is not him.
No, I agree, and I like that misdirection. I was like, it made you question, oh, is he actually there? Or is he not there? Because you question it because they do everything. It's like the Sixth Sense. They do everything to kind of show that hey, he is here, but at the same time, they don't break the rules or try not to break the rules. So I thought that was cool. Right. But I mean, back to the Luke just died, no reason. Does like kill himself? What happened?
He doesn't kill himself.
They kind of mention, or Kylo mentions when Rey and Kylo are linked through Force time, is what the director calls it, like FaceTime, Force time. Haha.
Well, bad joke.
That's what his joke is.
Oh, I was like, bad joke.
That's not my joke. It's Ryan. Crap was his last name.
Rian Johnson.
Johnson's his joke. That it couldn't be Rey doing it because the effort would kill her. That's what he said.
Oh, so because
Yeah,
it's
I caught that, so you knew it was Snoke.
So it's
Yeah.
such an excessive
Well, that also meant
force exertion, and you could see it on his
that
face.
also meant that this effort of astrally projecting himself would take a lot out of Luke, and he did it for a long time.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like it was a sacrifice.
Yeah. So he was basically doing well. He knew what he was doing, I think. But the thing that you knew that something was off.
And this is a spoiler. At the end, Luke astral projects himself, and instead of actually being there, distracts Kylo Ren so the rebels can get away.
Right. And basically plays again to his hatred of him. He's so angry that his anger basically clouds his vision to seeing what is going on around him. And the reason why I want to talk, are you going to go into this?
You saw that with the Millennium Falcon, where it's like all fighters on that ship.
Yeah.
and then they're like, he really hates that ship.
Yeah,
that's
and
what
then
Finn said.
and
I thought that was
But
hilarious.
shoot down that piece of trash.
basically-
I really like that.
And basically lost all his cover, his sky cover, and he gives up a lot because of his anger. And that's basically what Sith do anyway. But his thing that was really interesting with that anger,
you have killed her.
so the anger part where he was so angry with Luke, he was so angry he didn't notice that the sword that Luke was using was the same one he just ripped up like 20 minutes ago.
I know.
And I was like, wait a minute, didn't you just blow that sword up? You blew that
I
sword
think
up.
he just was not looking at it.
Yeah, he just was.
can
He was
tell.
so. Yeah,
But
it's
you
like
can
he says,
tell.
his
They're
hatred.
like, you can see when you're fighting with someone's sword, you're always looking at their hands. You would be able to tell that's a blue saber. I just blew up a blue saber. It looks exactly like.
But
the
remember,
helmet.
he hasn't seen Luke since that time when he was a kid.
Yeah, but
so
when
all
Luke
he could think about was that anger of that moment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
so
what
he hasn't seen him in forever.
That's
He
exactly what I
doesn't give a
just was
shit about
saying.
the sword. He's like, what the fuck?
That's what Sahil's saying.
That was
Shut
literally
up.
what I just said.
I just made it faster.
I said exactly the same thing.
I
was
just
just
said it a
saying
lot faster.
the
All right.
but the cool thing is that they had the green sword in there, which I loved because
Yeah,
that's
they did have his
original-
lightsaber originally in the flashback.
I was like, so cool.
I like how with his astral projection, they didn't break the rules, like I said earlier. Like with the footsteps, they made sure that the salt.
We talked about that. Yeah.
You couldn't hear any footsteps. They made sure that the salt didn't move when he was moving his feet, but it did for Kylo.
Right.
They made sure that the flakes from the salt would burn on Kylo's lightsaber, but not on Luke's.
Right. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting is that when he astral projected
even notice
himself,
that.
he projected himself to Leia as the last way she remembered him and the last way he remembered him, with different colored
With
facial
garb,
hair.
very much similar to Return of the Jedi.
Right. And
Like
he,
the black thing with the white undershirt.
we need to look into that. That's something that I was talking to him about. In
Well,
the
no,
movie.
I remember because Return
Okay.
of the Jedi I watched it a million times. It was not the same outfit, but it was very similar.
Yeah, and the cool thing was that his hair was his dyed, and his hair was cut, and he also was carrying the little things that were in the ship,
The dice.
the dice that he.
I have no explanation for this, and it's kind of weird. Where he hands the dice from the ship to Leia, and later they vanish when Kylo's holding it. So this whole time he was like, "Gotta keep those dice there.
But those-
Gotta keep those dice.
but
there.
he died
Gotta
bef-
keep those dice there. Gotta keep those dice there." I know. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe it doesn't require that much focus, but you know.
But maybe it's already there. Is there? But he died, and the dice stayed later. So I mean,
Well, no, we don't know that. He could have died at the same time as the dice. Like we
Or
might
he
have just.
embedded that
his-
in
his-
Kylo's mind.
his
that he will
character
find
his
it.
character disappeared. Remember? And then Kylo goes into the room where his mom
or maybe
was. and
he
picks
joined
it
the
up.
Force, and then he's looking over at Kylo like, "Haha, bitch!
I got
I'm
your
gonna make
dice."
these dice disappear."
That'd be
No, but
fun.
like the dice, like that scene where Kylo's in there, it could be at the same moment that Luke is dying. They just have to show it next. because they can't do
if
it
you
at the
looked
same
at his feet, because me and Will were talking about this in the movie when we were watching, I
time.
was
big
like,
ass clown feet, didn't he?
what?
When Luke was coming in,
I told
the hallway?
I looked at Luke
He did walk weird with his
twice. I
like
noticed
a
his
penguin.
shoes. Yeah, I noticed his shoes twice.
I told Will whenever he was out fighting, I was like, "Hey, Will, does he notice that he's not making any red patches with his shoes?" I didn't say those words, but I said his shoes are not doing it. So yeah, I think he must have noticed that before, but I noticed it this time. And I thought that was really cool because they really went into it to thinking he's astral projecting. If you always watch it second time, you're like understanding it now, and it must take a lot out of you. So he passes away, but him passing away and the troll mode that he was is
I didn't get how he was dying. Like he just
he
like
used so much energy.
he was so tired. I get it, but then he just like looks at the sun. He sits down and then he just
but
vanishes.
it was
It drained his
two-
Force.
But it's two suns, and it's supposed to be a playback to the original
Right.
New Hope.
Like he's ending his life, the adventure the way it began,
Yeah, looking at the sun.
looking towards the
And he
horizon,
passes away.
just like Yoda says.
And when
Yeah.
I saw that, when
by
I
the way,
saw-
since we're on spoilers, like that Yoda scene is so great.
yeah,
Like when the music kicks up from the original soundtrack that would play on Dagobah, it was amazing. Like when he was like, "You didn't heed my words. You're supposed to pass on everything you've learned. That includes failure."
yeah,
And that's the big lesson of this film is learn from failure.
yeah. Failure
And
is
I
a
like that
lesson.
lesson.
Yeah, that was a cool saying, and I thought he also was. It was
he was
very
basically
funny.
telling him like, "You fucked up. We get it, but you should have moved on."
Right, but I thought that really the
And
best
he didn't do that.
part about that whole speech was his little talk about, I taught you everything, not everything I know, but I taught you everything you should know, and you know everything that you knew, everything you needed to know. You didn't have to read the books, and even called out Luke
And it's all
about the books.
right.
He's like, "Did you read those books?" And he goes, "No." Well, they weren't page turners,
Well,
were they?
He tried to say, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it
it-
was like I meant to read
Yeah.
all of it, but I didn't get around to all of it. I mean, I read some of it.
Yeah,
and they were
basically.
like, page turners. They were not.
And I was like, that's really an interesting scene to listen to because
Basically, we need to learn from mistakes. The Jedi Order before didn't work. Let's make a different kind of Jedi Order.
basically the Jedi are not the answer. Something else is the answer. So it's not those books. Something else is. But I thought that was really cool. I really liked that, and I love that
I
he
think
was
that's my favorite
practical.
scene in the movie,
I love that he was practical,
except for his toes.
his toes.
The little
His toes moved in like funky
little twiddling
ways.
toes.
So
Why don't all stormtroopers have the chrome armor that Phasma has? In this film, we actually get to see it deflect fire, which the regular stormtroopers cannot do.
Because they're not
Maybe
important.
it's expensive.
Yeah, I say same logic as the TIE fighters, right? So the Empire is all about show of force. You can't have tons of stormtroopers if they're expensive to maintain. So let's get tons of stormtroopers out there in okay armor. We can give some really good armor to the captains or significant leaders, but screw all the small guys. That's how I think they're looking at it.
And there's also the thing of like, imagine if all the forces had it and then they wanted to discipline them, it would be hard.
Come on, all those TIE fighters that you see, no freaking shields on those things. They got hit by one freaking laser on the wing, they're fucked.
I mean, that's what Star Wars is, though. Everything you get touched like a little bit, and then the whole thing goes.
The X-wings have shields,
But remember, it could be a lucky shot. We don't know. Phasma's armor could have deflected it randomly. We don't know what it hit. You've seen these movies, the Wild Wild West movies, where they get shot and there's a Bible in their pocket. Get out of here! I mean, come on. It's not a big difference, isn't that? It's a one-shot luck. We don't care. Phasma armor was interesting. Phasma's armor is not invulnerable. In the movie, you get a hit in the face. It broke her armor. She got hit in the face with a little lightning. It looked like a stun stick.
yeah, but
and it broke her armor.
maybe the chrome just deflects blasts. I mean, that's what the
It could be possible.
supposed description of the armor.
But also, you have people like in the military currently. Why do we have only one of the super tanks? Well, because it costs a lot of goddamn money to make. So only gonna have one. Just like with the German army in World War II, they had these giant freaking Panzer tanks.
the train.
The train is one thing, but they have these giant tanks called King Tigers. They can only make a few of them because it costs a shit ton to make. So you can't make a bunch of cats.
So, what are some things that...
No, hey, so hold on. So we got to move through this quick. So things that we may have missed, so anybody watching the movie may have missed going through the movie. So let's go and move through this quick. At the end of the film, one of the children from the racetrack on Canto Bight, that's the casino planet.
Jedi!
Okay, thank you.
Damn, why are you yelling?
Because I'm waiting.
He reveals that he's force sensitive by using the force to grab a broom.
Right.
A lot of people looking at that scene didn't even pay attention, didn't even see him use the force to pull the broom.
Because they didn't zoom into it. It was so casual.
It was supposed to be like he's so casual with it that he's already pretty good at doing that. That's why it was so cool. Because remember when people first learn something, it's like he'll catch it real quick. It's this time he's like super slow, and he's like,
well, that's something that really annoys me. Is like Angry Joe was very vocal about this too. He's like, I don't understand why they ended that scene, but he didn't talk about the broom at all, so he didn't catch it either. So big people aren't noticing that either.
Right, and that the part that you don't understand is all the best. For some reason, all the lineages of Star Wars, the Jedis have come from poor areas, like
And that's
Anakin,
poor area.
poor.
Yeah.
You have Luke.
Maybe
is
it's because you have to survive.
Yeah, because
Right,
strong,
right. And
your will is stronger.
Yeah, your
and
will
so
is
you're
stronger.
able to...
You're beaten down. You have a little bit more power because you
don't give
power
up
from
as
it.
easily.
Yep.
So the next thing you may have missed, for Yoda's appearance in the film as a Force ghost, the character is created using puppetry.
And Frank Oz did the voice. Frank Oz,
Just as done with the Star Wars original trilogy.
yes, and I like that a lot.
Fucked up. You have.
I really like the puppet Yoda way more than the CG one. Even though, the CG one can fight, Yoda should have never fought in the second.
But he got
movie.
older. So he got puppety.
Excuse me.
Okay, not necessarily.
Another thing-
Okay, well, thank you.
He was already puppety. So next thing that you may have missed, a Force ghost interacted with the real world for the first time since the major movies. Yoda was able to manipulate the weather, like Storm from X-Men.
Yeah, that was really interesting. But at the same time, we've never seen that power before. But nobody cares about that.
Nope. So director Rian Johnson explained that you can expect more of this in the future, whatever that means.
That's pretty cool.
Which means that next time when Luke hopefully comes in episode 9, that he's doing something too. It'd be
Another
cool.
Force image.
While Yoda might have destroyed the Force Tree, which held the original Jedi texts, we later see that in a drawer in the Millennium Falcon that she may have taken some of those texts or similar texts already and is storing them.
Or
Ray took the text.
Or Mark Hamill's character had them and left them in the ship because he may have been hanging out in that ship after.
Could have been.
Or Chewbacca took them.
Yoda said she already has what she needs, so maybe she took a few, and that's all she needs. I don't know. Maybe that's what that was intended by that.
Oh, another thing you may have missed: the planet's not made of ice, made of salt. So.
Yeah, any like half-assed reviewer. No, this planet is not
I read
duplicate of Hoth. It's a salt planet called Crate.
Only thing I read, I did not.
Well, it's not
read,
salt. It's a mineral planet with salt.
My wife read a review from the Atlantic out loud, and she said, "This person said ice-covered planet. It's not ice-covered." I was like, "No, it's not. It's a salt-covered planet." And they pointed it out while the guy tasting the damn planet.
Yeah, just to make it obvious.
Yeah.
I just got to talk.
When I saw the guy walk, I thought he was bleeding. I'm like, what the hell? I thought he was bleeding. He's like, I'm gonna walk right into the enemy, and then he's like, oh, it's salt. I'm like, oh.
I got to talk this real quick. So in the movie, when the guy puts his finger along the ground and tastes the salt, there's a meme where it has a picture of the line from him doing the finger, and it says Star Wars fan base, and then he's tasting and it says it's salt. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, salty. They're salty.
So next thing that you may have missed, Luke calls lightsabers a laser sword.
Yeah.
So this has to be a throwback to George Lucas. He would always call lightsabers laser swords, even though they had got the official name, the lightsaber, and that was for merchandising, so that they have the rights to that, so nobody else can use the word lightsaber.
Right. I thought that was really funny because he's like, "What do you want me to do? Go in there with a laser sword?" I'm like, "Oh my god!"
I thought it was well done. It was a good throwback to George Lucas.
It was funny.
When Luke spoke about looking into Ben Solo's mind, he said that Snoke had already turned him. This means that they already knew Snoke, or Snoke already manipulated Ben Solo somehow. So we're probably, since he was around back then, in the next movie, hopefully we get to see the Knights of Ren, and we'll probably, at that point, since he was around back then too, we'll get to learn more about Snoke's backstory.
Well, it's because we don't really know, like, we don't know, like.
Well, that's something that we heard. So
I mean, think about it.
We know Snoke
all the
was
stuff
somehow
that was
around
made.
back then.
Well, all the stuff that was made, like these dreadnoughts and all these ships, like this, like big stuff that takes years to make, right? And so, like, to get all these kids, like the stormtroopers are actually children that we learned in the first film. That they're children that they're growing into.
Second film.
No, The Force Awakens is when we learned that.
Well, we know
they take children instead of clones for the stormtroopers.
Right.
So
Force
that
Awakens,
means
yes.
there's
they
good
stopped taking clones
lifetime.
a long time ago.
So we understand. We
They
understand
stopped
that.
taking clones after Episode 3.
Yeah. So we
No.
understand.
Yes.
No, they still have clones.
Well, they still had clones, but they were just fighting until they died.
Yeah. I don't think.
They were taking regular recruits.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think,
but that's still in the era of like lifetime, right? So
Yeah.
it wasn't that far
There's
off.
some, but they weren't all clones anymore.
So to make the First Order as large and powerful as it is, Snoke must have been around, even probably when the Emperor was around, making shit
we
happen.
don't know. We don't know
I don't know
who.
about that.
We don't know who Snoke is. We didn't know who the Emperor was. So
Dude,
we don't know. We
Snoke
don't know
is
a
the
lot of
Emperor's
characters from
daddy.
the first Star Wars movie, and a lot of people didn't know this. But why was Finn?
Snoke was gay.
Why is Finn's number 12159? Leia's cell number. Nobody knows that. Ellie likes that.
Last thing you may have missed.
Mm.
The Puffins. Sorry. The
Puffin.
pork design is
They are
inspired
Puffins.
by Puffins.
That's what I say.
It's like Puffin meets parrot meets
like a dog,
like
cute
a
dog.
mammal.
Like cute dog.
Because they kind of have fur, kind of, even though they're supposed to have feathers.
But it's a fun fact, isn't it?
But they have a mouth that's regular.
They look like mini Chewbacca's, like heads wise.
Kind
Just
of,
a head.
yeah. Well, they're kind of like a permanent frown.
Yeah.
So anything that you want to talk about, spoilers, before we kind of wrap this up? Anything that you guys want to
Did we
address?
ever really see the porks like fly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Remember
in the
they?
counter?
Remember when he was eating? They were about to eat the.
They flew away, but I
They just went-
don't.
Yeah, in the background, you'll see porgs take off into flight. There's at least one or two scenes. I think it's when Luke's going up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a porg that's on a rock go up and then start flying, and then it cuts to
I
a
will
faraway
admit
shot,
I want to talk about one
and
spoiler.
you see a lot of white things
Okay,
flying around.
wait,
So all
fuck
those
me,
white
Puffins.
things are porgs.
Wait. Go ahead.
There's one thing I didn't really like, which is how Kylo Ren was made, with the whole story of like misinterpretation on their ends of like,
Such an emo kid.
Yeah, two sides of the story.
like, because he basically saw like him with a lightsaber, and he's like, he's trying to kill me,
Right.
And then at the same time, he was like, it was instinct, but then I felt shame, and then right before I could see it, before I could do anything to like put it away, he's looking at me, and he's already like, you trying to kill me?
yeah.
All that shit Snoke told me was real.
Yeah, one has Luke at first, like just reading his mind, and the next one has Luke with the lightsaber, really angry look on his face, and he's gonna slam it into Kylo. Kylo blocks it. And
Because if you notice in the story,
Luke is just like, "Oh crap, I shouldn't have done this."
if you notice in the story, like the first telling of it, Luke doesn't even have a lightsaber in his hand,
Right.
and then the ceiling collapsed. Then the second one, they clash instantly with Luke angrily trying to slam it at him,
Right.
and then in the third telling, it's more of
Like regret.
it's more
I
of
shouldn't have
Kylo
looked this-
is actually the one slamming the lightsaber, and Luke is defending.
Well, it's all about
It's more like he woke up and he's like, "Oh, this guy's lightsaber's over. I gotta hit him."
yeah.
Yeah,
So it was the
defense.
impression that he had when he woke up.
So the different stories really lead to it.
I kind of wish they would have shown like the temple burning down, the killing of the other kids.
They're going to.
They briefly showed it.
They briefly showed.
They just showed the temple burning, but like they didn't show like the killing of the kids.
They
when
briefly
Anakin-
showed it, but I think
It's
in
the
the
next
next film, Knights of Ren, that's when we're gonna get all that backstory.
all those kids. So is Knights of Ren like
The
Kylo
Knights of
Ren?
Ren. Yeah, they
Like-
joined Ren they joined Kylo to fight.
So he
basically.
left with a handful of the students. So
So he's got a
ones
bunch
that-
of Siths now.
yeah, basically.
We don't know what happened to them.
We don't know anything other than
about
they're
them.
called the Knights of Ren. He's the leader of the Knights of Ren, and they're somehow involved with Snoke.
And somehow they killed
explains
his
his
other
name.
students because
And they killed the other students.
because you
Who were
see-
probably like, "What are you doing? This is stupid."
you get to see in the flashback that Rey has in the first movie, Force Awakens. You get to see a flashback of all the knights standing over a whole bunch of dead bodies. So I'm assuming it's an assumption
Oh, that flashback.
that
montage?
flashback, that
Yeah, that's the
flashback,
only time you actually get to physically see them.
and then the flashback you see people dead. I'm assuming those are the other students, and these are like the best students.
Yeah. He left with a handful of students.
So it means the
that's
best-
the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, because originally Luke took 12,
Right.
So
It
I don't
doesn't.
know.
And then they left with a handful.
so he killed half.
A
Interesting.
lot of people are speculating that the guys in red might be the Knights of Ren.
As-
No,
I don't
I'm
know.
95% sure that they're not the Knights of
I
Ren.
don't think.
No,
I just-
those guys are the Royal
I s-
Guard. They were also in the
Right.
original ones too.
They're not.
They're force sensitive, kind of like the guy was in Rogue One, the blind guy, and they have a little bit of like training.
Yeah.
But that's it.
I think they're called the Praetorian Guard in
Yeah.
this.
Well, what I think
They're
just-
Royal Guard.
They threw them in here because everybody loved those red guys because they're so mysterious, and now they give them a little bit more of a.
Yeah, they had kind of an Asian
Presence
feel
here.
to them.
Like in
Like,
the
they-
moment,
they-
like
they
something
felt like-
happened, they just react.
They felt like samurai, didn't they? Like
Yes,
the samurai
yes, yes,
shields,
yes.
and they had weapons that
very
were
nice.
kind of Asian, like the whip chain that has like the blades on it.
They had some very interesting, cool weapons.
and then
I'll give them that.
I thought it was kind of weird that Snoke's like throne room was covered in curtains, and like when it burned away, it was all glass. 'Cause
Red
it-
curtains.
Yeah, so when they threw, because when it started is when Rey took that weird whip chain.
I noticed
sword,
that the second time around.
and she threw it
I
on
was
the
like,
whip.
"Oh, there's fire now."
Yeah, and then she threw the chain whip sword on the on the curtain. The curtain caught on fire, and all the curtains started falling.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of cool. Why does he want to cover up space?
I think
it
it
looks
maybe
good.
it's for dramatic effect.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That
Well,
they
you
wanted
could
to
tell
have
he
all
loves
stuff.
dramatic because
Maybe-
his hologram was like huge.
red on
Like,
red.
do you need a hologram that big?
By the way, you know why everyone thought that he was Sidious? One of the
Why?
biggest reasons, because the sounds that he made in Force Awakens was the same sound that you had at the weird opera scene in the second movie, Clone Wars. Remember that? Oh, and he's at that weird like circus, and he's sitting there, and Anakin's talking to him. The same song that you get with Snoke.
Did you guys notice the weird force lightning he had?
Yeah,
It was like he force lightning the ground or something.
yeah, it went up to him. It was like a wave.
Just like ricochet. But did you notice also this interesting that I noticed is that instead of calling himself the Emperor, he just called himself Supreme Leader. He wanted to be different from Sidious.
Emperor.
yeah, so Sidious or Palpatine.
And I think it might have something to do with them probably being rivals back in the day.
Yeah, but a lot of people also speculated that he was the Sidious's master.
Darth Plagueis.
Darth Plagueis.
It could be. It could explain why his face is all fucked up and he's really strong.
Because
Yeah, like he thought he killed him, but then
Yeah,
he
he
just
never
recovered
killed him,
himself.
really,
yeah. I could see that
And
happening.
he's been
That's why
recovering the whole
That's
time.
what everybody's speculating.
and Plagueis is the one that was able to heal himself from the dead. So that remember how he said, "I learned
Cheat
this."
death.
Yeah, cheat death.
Maybe he's going to cheat death again.
We never know.
No.
Well, he was cut in half though. So
All right. So is that everything we want to cover for spoilers? Ellie, you want to
Yes.
cover anything for spoilers?
Nope.
I have a spoiler I want to talk about. One small thing.
You don't want to cover anything for spoilers?
For all the people that are really angry that Phasma died in 2 seconds, remember how many lines Boba Fett had and how much people love him.
Yeah, no. I actually, yes, this is something we need to agree. Phasma died really quick, right? But they said before this movie came out that they're going to have Captain Phasma be the next Boba Fett.
Yeah. So
That's exactly what happened to Boba Fett.
Boba Fett died with, he said 2 lines, I think, maximum 2 sentences, and died. And people love Boba Fett.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, she did the same thing, but she had like twice as many lines.
So they did exactly what they said they're going to do. Make the next Boba Fett.
And her character, if people are getting angry that she's not been able to be used more, then whatever. I don't really understand what when Star Wars fans will be happy, but it is what it is. That's all I have to talk about.
Let's wrap this up. So 2 fun facts for you. In the Dark Empire, comics done by Dark Horse, Luke Skywalker astral projected himself across the galaxy, much like in this film.
Ooh.
So they weren't the first to do it in this film. Kanan Jarrus from the canon Star Wars TV series Rebels was sucked into space briefly and survived, rescued by another ship, much like Leia. And if you look in the show notes, there's a picture of him being sucked into space until he let go and was rescued by another ship.
Can I talk about something that's no longer canon?
Sure.
So one of the extended universe books was based off of it goes with Leia and Han having children. One's a boy, one's a girl, and the boy becomes the bad one, and the girl becomes the bad one, the boy becomes the good one.
That would be interesting.
And that was, their names were different than these names, but that's a really interesting storyline. So it may be what this is going through.
Even if it was going to mirror it, they never want to reveal that. You know what I mean?
But it's no longer canon. So
is that something we should address before we go out? We talked about it a little bit, but Rey, Parents from Nowhere.
Yes.
Tommy seems pretty set in stone that that's the truth. I'm pretty set in stone that it's probably not true.
Well, because the director said that the reason they went with this is because they wanted to show that you don't have to come from a particular lineage or bloodline. It's not about that. It's the Force is something that everyone has. Just some people have it more.
Yeah, but the thing is that everybody expects this from Rey because she touched the lightsaber, got tons of flashbacks. I mean, not necessarily has to be related from her bloodline to get those flashbacks, but that and the fact that she's already so adept and already able to fight Kylo Ren.
I think she's a reincarnation.
Everybody had the impression that she was a child and at the Jedi Temple, and they just dropped her off and said, "Well, forget everything about this. We just want you to live a normal life, or don't not be corrupted." Right. And that's why it's just all coming back to her.
But look, there's a possibility that you could be right, and that they could just say that Rey thought that's what the case was, and so Kylo read her mind and thought, "You know what it is." But it's actually not the case, and it's something else.
Or vice versa, Kylo pushed it into her head.
Oh, yeah. I caught the throne scene where they talked about what they're seeing in the future, where both instances came true. You're going to join me, and you're going to join me. They both thought they were going to join each other. They did briefly, but they
joined
did.
each other. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that he pushed the idea into her. I think that she may be somebody's family. I don't know whose family. But
it's funny. Sorry, it's funny.
Yeah,
you see the future, but it's misinterpreted very well.
Yeah.
Like with Snoke.
everything's misinterpreted with the
I noticed
future.
way more so the second time around that Snoke really bragged about his abilities, and when Rey's like, you underestimate him, you underestimate Ben and myself or whatever, and he just laughs about it, and he really does underestimate him.
I think the really
same thing.
My favorite lines from that whole scene in the throne room was him saying that whenever the dark grows, the light meets the dark.
That supports the theory that Rey is a child of the Force, like Anakin.
Right. So what it is that if you have a really strong dark side person, dark side user, you're gonna randomly something will happen where a light user will come to match that person. It's always the yin and yang.
Well, I like to think, though,
that's really cool.
What I like to think is that Darth Plagueis actually created Anakin since he can manipulate life. That he just went up to his mom's and touch her womb quick. Okay,
boom,
baby. No, didn't fuck her. Just touch your womb.
God.
There's life. There's life created from the Force right there because he can manipulate life. Right, he brought himself back to the dead. He can bring a being to life. So maybe that's what he did. And then Palpatine learned about that. It was like, oh, this really cool guy is going to grow up. I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to take this kid, make him my apprentice, rule the galaxy.
Yeah, it could be.
That's what I like to think happened.
Could be possible. There's a lot of things, and we noticed that kid is a light user, probably the kid that grabs the broom at the end. So what is the dark that's going to match him? We'll see.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or is Kylo getting really strong? We don't know.
You sure you don't want me to just do it real quick?
Listener's confession. We got this thing from Instagram.
All right, Manuel. Who is it?
Manuel Hernandez Animations. He writes, "Here's a picture of a nerd confessing that I hope you guys like enough to post on your Instagram page. Enjoy." And then it's a picture.
Look at it.
There's a picture of a little nerdy boy, and then in the middle is a cross on the wall, and then on the right is a priest, and then the little nerd boy says, "Father, I must confess, I cheated on my final."
Whoa.
That's deep.
That's really deep.
I like that it's themed.
War final.
I like
the priest reminds me of South Park. Like
Yeah,
the
he
style.
does. The thing that really bothers me is that he's holding a Bible and a cross. This kid must be somewhat possessed, and he must be very worried.
He must have been doing it like while sucking
What could
somebody's
compel
blood.
you to do this?
This kid might be possessed, so he's like, I need to depossess you.
Thank you for sending that to us.
Yeah, we're
We like
probably gonna
seeing
I
put
appreciate
it.
it.
We're
It's good
probably
art.
gonna put it on the cover page of this podcast somewhere in there. So
Yep,
just watch out
for sure.
it. And it'll be on Instagram. You'll be famous. Don't worry.
Yay, Insta famous.
Hashtag me too.
That's a popular
Well,
hashtag.
anyways, if you would like to send us your confession, you can email us at contact@nerdconfessions.net or send us a tweet or Instagram. Our tweet would be Nerd Confessions with the zeros replacing the O's, and it's Nerd Confessions on Instagram. Just do it.
Well, that wraps up this week's confession. Join us next week for more discussions and opinions on things that pique our interest. If you have any confessions and you would like for us to discuss, feel free to send it our way. As always, we want to thank all of our listeners and followers for tuning in and supporting us. Share us, like us, review us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Whatever you want to do, every bit is going to help us grow. And don't forget, you can find all of our previous episodes and our bonus content on our website at nerdconfessions.net.
.net.
Also, additionally, our next episode will be the final one for this season. Tune in for the holiday episode next week as we discuss something holiday.
And
Empire
leave
of
us
the
a
Dark
comment on our video about what you thought Star Wars was like.
Yeah, let us know what you thought about Star Wars. And if you haven't checked out our PSX interviews and other videos, check it out because it's pretty good stuff.
You know, if you want to make it really special, we can watch Dune.
Okay.
Yes, we wanna watch
why
Dune.
do we want to watch Dune for Christmas?
Because Sohail said he wanted to
We
watch
can
it.
watch Dune or we can watch Die Hard because Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Oh, Die Hard is good.
How about How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
That's a terrible movie for children.
It's not a terrible movie.
Ellie, go ahead.
We got these popcorn buckets from Matt from AMC.
Anyway. This is Nerd Confessions signing off.
I'm part of the dark side.
You are the dark side.
I've been converted.